What's up, Magic Makers? Drew here, and today I am doing a spell. Now, technically this is going to be a two-parter. I'm going to start crafting my spell today, and I'm actually going to do the real spell work in the next couple of days, either tomorrow or the next day. It is Tuesday. I will be posting this video on Friday, of course. So either Wednesday or Thursday, I will finish my work. But it's a two-part spell because I am going to be working with air dry clay, and I need the clay to dry before I can do the second part of the working. I had this video sort of mapped out in my mind for a long time now. I knew, like, this time, certain times of the year, I like to do certain things, and I'm sure that's true of everyone. And I wanted to do some release work. And honestly, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to release, although I do know now what I'm going to be releasing. But I knew how I wanted to do it. And the how is the part that I wanted to share. I'm going to share it all, obviously, but basically. But I did want to share this process with all of you. So here I am. I'm going to walk you through what I do and explain everything I'm doing as I do it. And, you know, if anybody wants to hop on and try it themselves one day, that's lovely. That's pretty much the whole reason why I'm sharing. So let me get to it. We're here at my working table where I make my candles and whatnot. The lighting is not exactly stellar, and I apologize for that, but we're going to do the best we can. So the first thing I need for my spell is some air dry clay. This is what I have on hand at the moment, though I work with different kinds. You can easily go pick up just some air dry clay that's sort of aimed at children, designed for children, at your local dollar store or department store or craft store if you have one in your area, wherever you live. But essentially any kind of clay that will just dry on its own is what I'm after. So that's what I have here. Okay, so I have my small little dollop of air dry clay, and I'm going to add some stuff to it. I would say herbs, but they're not herbs. Yeah, nothing is an herb that I'm adding in. So first I'm going to add a little bit of, oh, that's a lot. Hold on. Okay. A little bit of terracotta dust. And terracotta dust is really good for protection and change, among other things. But I mainly want it for its properties of change. Of course, feel free, if you do choose to do a working inspired by this, to make any substitutions that you see fit. I'm working with what I have on hand and what calls to me. And it's just easier to use things that are already in powdered form, so I'm going for that too. Next, I'm using some pumice. Good for banishing. I've got a bit of powdered selenite here and, you know, obviously cleansing. And then a little powdered cedar bark, again, cleansing and purifying and all that good stuff. Now, there are a myriad of herbs I could have used, but this is what I was called to use. And so I'm going for it. So I'm just gonna work it into the clay so that it becomes part of the clay. Can take a couple minutes. I typically like to break it apart like that a bit so that you're really getting it worked in good, because it likes to hide in the middle. And you can see it's kind of making a mess all over, and I'll just put it all back in and just really work it in. And the entire time I'm doing this, I am putting my intent in here that this is going to represent something I want to release, that it is in essence becoming that which I want to release. I'm infusing that into the clay. Okay, I am rolling my clay into a small ball. Next, I have this guy. This is the top of a jar, a glass jar. An old candle top like this would work. Anything like this. I like it because it's kind of rounded. You can see there's spots all over it because I use it for this kind of thing. So I'm going to clean it off with my storm water, and then I'm going to show you the next step. Okay, I'm just going to smush this down and roll it. And I do it on one side and then the other. And I actually want to make this fairly thin. for my purposes, what I'm going to be doing with it. It doesn't need to be perfect. I mean, it's up to the individual. It's up to you. It's up to each of us if we do this to decide exactly, what works for us. But I'm okay with this. And I've got this, it's a ball tool for working with polymer clay or for like nail art or whatever. You can use anything you might use to carve a candle with. I've got knitting needles over here of various sizes. I have a bone tool I use for carving candles. I mean, you could use anything you wanted, but I'm going to use this. And I'm going to carve a symbol that for me represents what it is I want to release. And I don't mind sharing that with you. I have a strong fear of success. It's not something that I think about rationally, consciously, but I do. Subconsciously, I realize if I dig, I find it. It's there. So for me, I'm going to draw something that symbolizes the fear of success. And that's kind of an abstract idea. So I'm just going to draw like a blue ribbon, like, you won, yay. And actually a lightning bolt going through that. That for me is going to represent that fear of success. I am not trying to make this perfect. It's just a loose abstract representation of that which I want to release. So it's not a big deal if it's not, a beautiful work of art or something. Although, of course, you can make it as intricate and as much of a work of art as you feel like you want. So I'm just digging out the lightning bolt a bit because I want it to be representative of it disturbing the success, of it interrupting and interfering with the success, that lightning bolt of fear. And basically this is it. This is all I'm going to do. I'm going to allow this to dry, and then I'm going to come back in and actually do spell work with it. And I will give you a glimpse into what that looks like. I am, however, going to place this on my working altar and let it dry there so that it's sitting in that energy that I'm always feeding into my altar. That's my most utilized magical space. So it can only be a benefit for it to cure in that spot. Okay, here we are. It's Thursday, so it's been 2 days, and my little clay disc has been curing. It is all ready to go. So I am going to go ahead and do the actual spell work for this spell. I'm not going to make you sit through that and watch that because I believe it's going to take a bit of time, but I'll walk you through it and I will give you a little peek. So essentially what I'm going to do is purify my altar and myself and cast circle. I will have 2 candles, one my ancestor candle I will light, and I will have a small birthday candle to represent and to connect with the deity that I am calling in for this working. And I'm going to sit in that sacred space, and I'm going to hold on to my little clay disc, and I will be feeding energy and intention into it. And once I've fed that energy and intention to it, I'm going to continue to hold it, and I'm going to put myself in that place. So I'm going to imagine what in my life, all the different areas of my life, the success that triggers fear looks like. And I'm going to move through that fear and feel that fear and feed that fear into my little disc. And when I'm ready, and I feel like I'm ready to move beyond that, past that, and I've totally embraced that and what that looks like and what that feels like, at least from this perspective, I'm going to break my disc, symbolizing that I am breaking that fear, that I'm pushing through that fear and moving through it. And then I'm going to put that down on my altar, and I'm going to sit in a minute and sort of try to bask in what the success feels like without the fear. What all the good, beautiful things that success can mean and feel and bring and what have you. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Wrapping up my spell. Still in sacred space. I'm going to allow my candles to burn for a little while. I might even let the red candle burn all the way down. I'm not sure. But I did want to share my thoughts about the disposal of this working. I personally try to dispose of spell components in a way that is most natural. Of course, that depends on what the spell components are. I rarely throw them in the trash. I just feel energetically that doesn't vibe with me. And at the end of the day, I don't want my spell components ending up in a landfill. There's already enough garbage in landfills, and I want to contribute as little as possible to those. I really am actively working to put less and less in the landfills as much as I can. So I definitely don't want to be sending my spell components there. It's just a personal choice. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's just my choice. It also depends on what those components are and what the spell was meant for. For me, burning is the ultimate way to release. And so that is how I am going to dispose of this. This is clay. It is earthen. I don't know how well it will burn, but if it doesn't burn all the way down to ash or to little bits of charred clay or whatever is going to happen, no matter how much of it is left, it'll just live in my fire pit from now on. I will wait until the next time we have a ritual fire, which will probably be, I mean, it could be Samhain, but more than likely it will be Yule. Samhain tends to be busy with other things, trick-or-treaters and the whole nine. It's a little harder to do a ritual fire on that night unless we wait until pretty late, which we might. This is a tin, obviously. I keep it tucked under my altar, and this is where I store spell components to be later disposed of in a ritual fire. Now, ritual fires aren't exactly the most environmentally friendly thing in and of themselves, but we have to pick and choose our battles, and I do have ritual fires, and I do dispose of old spell components in my ritual fires. So right now, I'm going to take this, sorry, the lighting changes when I turn, this little disc that I made, and I'm going to put all the little pieces into my box here. I just realized that the audio might be off in this section of the video. I forgot to plug in my external mic. I do use an external mic. You should still be able to hear me. It is just going to sound not as good, and I apologize. But I'm not going to refilm it. I just cleaned up my mess, and it's fine. It's fine. Anyway, this is my air dried clay release spell. In a way, I may not be fully releasing this working and thus this fear until we have the ritual fire, which is why I may push for it to be at Samhain rather than Yule. But for me, I'm okay with that because in the it's not like you could just snap your fingers and, oh, the fear is gone. Even with spell work, there's more work that needs to be done, shadow work, all kinds of things. So I'm okay with it taking time. And if I'm not ready by Samhain, then I can just push it back until Yule. Even if we do end up having a ritual fire, I don't have to burn it. I can wait until the next ritual and then complete the releasing work then. But I do feel it's sort of a twofold thing, that not only is it the spell, this part of the spell, this active part here, and the part of actually burning away the remnants, but also the work that'll come in between with me trying to confront my shadows around success. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like I said, I want to clean up my working here and, you know, open my circle. You're in circle with me. Though that's not the first time that you guys have been in my circle. So it's actually kind of cool to think about. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that was helpful and that maybe you got something out of it. or maybe some inspiration to do some work around some of your own shadows. And as always, much love and gratitude.